Hello, beautiful people. Welcome. We are here today. We missed yesterday, man. I apologize. We missed yesterday's stream because my face, dude, was just, I don't know if it was sinuses. I don't know if it was tooth related, but my face was, right side of my face, not feeling so hot. So we missed yesterday's stream. I did do a short yesterday, letting you guys know, though. But we are here. We are here today. Right off the bat, I want to say this might be a bit of a short one. We might do the point of the stream, right, under the influence. We're going to talk about that. We might do the point of the stream, and then the post stream might be a little short, right? The post stream might be a little bit short today. I got several things I need to do. But Terry, you guys know Terry. A lot of you guys know Terry over on the Discord. This stream is brought to you by Terry, sponsored by Terry. So if you don't know what a sponsored stream is, it's when somebody wants a specific topic, right, to be spoke about on the stream, and they hit our tip goal for us. So it's a sponsored stream, sponsored by Terry. Today, Terry's got a good idea for his stream. He wants to talk about under the influence. So basically, being the under the influence of a tired mind and body, being under the influence of sensitized nerves, and we're also going to talk about how that can apply to a lot of things in life. We're going to make some comparisons, right? We're going to make some comparisons. This should be a good stream. It'll make more sense, I promise. It'll make more sense when we get into it. Let's see. We got Ivan, we got Edward, we got Sanchez, we got Kay, Wonder Bro. Our sense is okay. There's a little bit of pain. It's not horrible. Yesterday was not fun. There is still a little bit of pain hanging around, but it's not too bad. I think it's manageable, so we should be okay. What is up, gamer? Welcome to the stream, dude. Hope you're doing fantastic. Welcome. Good to see you, beautiful people. Good to see you, beautiful people. So yeah, we're here a little bit late today. I know we're an hour or so late, but we're an hour or so late, but we're here. What's up, Jennifer? Welcome to the stream. Welcome. All right, let's see here, guys. We'll give it a minute or so, and then we'll get going. Nova! There you go. Paid for, brought to you by Terry. Terry, thank you for the $50 tip. He always uses my dog's name for tips, but that is Terry. Rest assured, it is not my dog. It is actually Terry. Terry, thank you so much for the $50 tip. So there you go, paid for. This stream is brought to you by Terry. And this was Terry's idea, by the way. This was Terry's idea, under the influence. So we're going to talk about that. Thank you so much, Terry. I appreciate you. Give him a round of applause, guys. Give him a round of applause. Because I'll be honest, I was just going to focus on coaching today, and I was going to take today off from streaming. But Terry was like, nah, man, we should run it. We got to run it. And I was like, you know what? I can come in. I can knock a quick one out. I got you. So yeah, it might be a bit of a short one, but we're going to knock it out. So under the influence, let's go ahead and get into it. Let me get this music out of here. We don't want to be fighting with that the whole time. Let's see. All right. I'm already catching your drift on where this topic will go. Should be a good one. Yes, sir. All right, guys, are you ready to get started? Under the influence. So this stream, like I said, was Terry's idea. Basically, the gist of this stream is what we're getting at, right? What we're getting at is being under the influence of anything really changes your current reality. But the main point, okay, of this stream is that no matter what you're under the influence of, you should not allow that, okay? You should not allow that to get you into your head with obsession and engaging in your current reality. So let me try to think of examples. Of course, we're going to get to sensitization, but I want to compare that to something. So let's say if you were under the influence of a drug, right? Let's just throw that out there. Let's say you were under the influence of, and I've given this example before in the past, but let's say you had just smoked some gas, bro, right? Like you had just smoked some gas. And, whether you've ever done that or partaked in that before is not my business. But let's say you had just smoked that gas and you were feeling it, man. You were feeling it. There's going to be two different types of people in that situation. There is going to be person A who just smoked a little bit of weed, and that's what I'm referring to, and they're going to have a bad time. They're going to have a really bad time. It's getting a little hot in here. They're going to have a really bad time, right? Because they are in their head, and they are allowing the fact that they are currently under the influence of something to worry them and obsess them and get them into rumination. So they just smoked a little bit of weed, right? And they're sitting there and they're freaking out because in their head they're thinking, man, I'm experiencing all these physical changes and symptoms and what's going on, dude? This is horrible. This is the end of the world. This is the end of me. Something awful's going to happen, right? So they are allowing the fact that they are under the influence of something that is currently changing the reality to get them to obsess and become very, very negative, which is going to lead to a horrible high. It is the same exact concept with someone who is under the influence of sensitization. When you are under the influence of sensitization, right, you are going to experience things like very strong, intense, negative, intrusive thoughts. These thoughts that would not bother you before are going to bother you now. It's going to cause you a ton of anxiety. That's not a problem in itself. Just like smoking some gas, man, is not a problem within itself because you've got two different types of people, right? So the problem is not that you are under the influence. Just like the person B who smoked a little bit of weed is going to be chilling, right? They're going to be laying back. They're going to be thinking, so it's like two different people. If you allow the fact that you are under the influence of something to draw you into negativity and obsession, instead of just accepting the fact that you're under the influence of something, right, you're going to have a bad time. So smoking the weed, for example, is not necessarily a bad thing. Am I trying to say you should go smoke weed? No, that's your choice. I don't care. But my point is, smoking the weed is not necessarily a definite going to lead to a bad time. It's going to lead to you being under the influence. It's what you do with the fact that you are under the influence that's going to determine whether or not that leads to a bad time. Same concept with sensitization. If you've got two people who are severely sensitized and are currently under the influence of sensitization, person A might be giving way too much credit to their intrusive thoughts, thinking, oh, this is only happening to me. I can't get over this. This thought is causing me so much anxiety, and I won't be able to get over it because I can't fix it and I can't solve it, and then they get all worked up. Person B, who is dedicated to acceptance and, has been watching the channel, right? They're going to sit back and they're going to say, wait a minute, I know why that thought's causing me so much anxiety. I know why this feels like the end of the world. It's because my nerves are sensitized. I am currently under the influence of anxiety. I am currently under the influence of sensitization, aka tired nerves, tired body. So person B who says, you know what, I'm just under the influence, right? But they're not trying to figure it out past that. There is no figuring it out past that. If you leave it at that, then it's the end of the story and you can get on with your lives and your nerves can heal, right? Then you can get on with your life and your nerves can heal, okay? If you leave it at that. But so person B, right? Person B who says, I'm under the influence of sensitization and all these things occur because of that, and I know that because I've done my research, and they leave it at that. They're not necessarily going to be jumping for joy, but that is going to be the end of the story, and they are going to move on, and they are going to eventually heal. Now, again, person A who doesn't want to accept the fact that they're under the influence, they want to figure out why this is happening, even though they already know why it's happening. They want to fight all the thoughts and try to fix all the thoughts, which is completely irrelevant because, again, they're just under the influence of sensitization. They're the person that's going to struggle. They're the person that's going to have a hard time with this, right? So, again, I like to make comparisons because it proves my point. How come you can take two different people and both can smoke the same amount of weed, right? Let's say you take two people who are basically physically identical, right? We're not going to complicate this analogy. They're physically identical, the same weight, everything, whatever. How come you can take two people and get and have them smoke the same amount of marijuana? And person A is just freaking the fuck out, right? And person B is just kicked back saying, dude, this is great, right? It's because person B has accepted the fact they're not obsessing. They've just accepted the fact that they are currently under the influence of something that is changing their reality, that explains why they're having the thoughts they're having and the feelings they're having, and they leave it alone. Right? They leave it alone. They don't turn it into a big thing. Therefore, they can just allow the experience to be as it is. And so they're sitting on the couch eating potato chips, even though they're feeling all these crazy things because they're under the influence. They're just eating potato chips, dude. It's all good, right? And person B is freaking the fuck out. It's because you've got to accept the fact that you're under the influence, right? So people who are under the influence of sensitization, right? And I'm going to keep flip-flopping a little bit. I'm really trying to prove my point here. People who are under the influence of sensitization and they're experiencing all sorts of thoughts that are making them feel crazy and they're experiencing all this anxiety, they know they're under the influence of sensitization, but they won't leave it alone there. They try to fight every thought, right? So, for example, let's say somebody is severely sensitized and they get this thought that causes them a ton of anxiety. If they get up there and try to fix that, they're already going wrong. What they should be doing is they should be saying, wait a minute, I've got these thoughts that are causing me a ton of anxiety right now. It's just because I'm under the influence. I'm under the influence of sensitization. I don't need to fix being under the influence, right? Does everybody get where I'm going with this? I don't need to fix being under the influence. And the moment you try to fix being under the influence, it's an impossible task that's going to get you nowhere. It's an impossible task that's going to keep you in that sensitized state. So you don't need to fix being under the influence. You just need to accept the fact that you are under the influence. Can I have a show of hands in chat? How does that make sense to you guys? Right? Am I putting it in a good way here? You just need to accept the fact that you are under the influence. You don't need to fix being under the influence. Right? You don't need, and that's what people are trying to do. It's the same concept as, again, and I know I keep coming back to this analogy, but it's so true. It's the same as smoking a little bit of weed and then trying to fix the fact that you're high. How does that make any sense? You're just going to freak the fuck out, right? You can't fix the fact that you're high. You have to accept the fact that you're high. You can't fix the fact that you're under the influence. And the moment you try to fix the fact that you're under the influence, you're screwed. You have a bad high, right? So, and the people who have good highs and just kind of enjoy the ride, they don't try to fix the fact that they're under the influence. Now, I know you're probably sick of hearing that analogy, but it's very, very close. It's very, very close. So, you cannot fix the fact that you're under the influence, guys. You have to accept that you are. You have to accept that the reason you're having so many thoughts that are causing you such great anxiety is because your mind and body's tired, and there's nothing you can do about it. You have to accept the fact that you are under the influence of sensitization, and if you just leave it alone and don't try to fix being under the influence, which makes no logical sense, right? Eventually, you're going to sober up. Eventually, you're going to sober up, and the real you is going to come back. Those thoughts are no longer going to bother you. Those feelings are no longer going to be so strong. It's all going to gradually start to fade away because you are starting to sober up. But while you are currently under the influence, to try to fix being under the influence doesn't make any sense. Do you take a drunk person and say, look, you're falling down, you're falling all over the place, you're slobbering, you're slobbery. You need to fix being drunk. Stop it. Stop being drunk right now. Nobody even wastes their time telling a drunk person to stop being drunk because it doesn't work. Nobody wastes their time telling someone who just smoked a fat doobie to sober up and, hey, stop being high right now because it doesn't work. We automatically know that. We know that there's no point in telling a drunk person to stop being drunk because it doesn't work that way. We know there's no point in telling a high person to stop being high because it doesn't work that way. We just have to wait for them to sober up. That's just logical, right? That's just, at this point, common sense. But people do not apply that to sensitization, and that's where they fuck up, right? They don't apply that to sensitized nerves. Instead, they wake up every day and they say, I'm sensitized and I'm going to fix it. I'm under the influence and I'm going to fix it. And then how do they try to fix it? They fight with every thought that comes to their brain, and now you're screwed, right? So Again, it's the same concept as picking my drunk friend off the floor and saying, dude, sober up. You got to stop being drunk right now. We got to go. Is that going to work? Nobody does that because it's common sense. You automatically know that you can't just tell a drunk person to stop being drunk. You can't tell a high person to stop being high. Nobody tries because it's common sense. You can't do that. You just got to wait for them to sober up. It's the same thing with your tired nerves. When you get up there and you have a thought that causes you anxiety and you try to fight with it to make it go away, oh, that won't happen, or let me get to the bottom of that. Let me figure that out. When you do that, it is the same concept as trying to tell a drunk person to sober up right then and there. Stop it. Stop being drunk. Sober up. It's pointless. It's not going to work. It's just going to piss the drunk dude off. Right? That's all it's going to do. And if you tell a high person to stop being high, it's just going to freak them out. You know, does that sound like a good idea if you've got a high friend to sit there and they're already freaking out and you tell them, dude, just stop being high? You think that's going to work? Or is it going to freak them out? Right? So when you have these thoughts that are the result of sensitization, that are really sticky and strong, and you try to figure out what's wrong with you, and you try to get to the bottom of it, and you spend every day trying to do all these things to try to fix yourself, right? And you stop living, and you lay in bed, and you lay on the couch, you lay in the recliner, and you just obsess about anxiety, and you fight with every thought, oh, blah, 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 blah. What you're trying to essentially do is tell a drunk person to stop being drunk. And because I'm getting excited and raising my voice, Nova's also getting excited and having a great time with her toy down there. So just ignore that if you hear it. It's the same concept, man. When you try to fix this thing day after day, you can't. You just have to accept the fact that you're under the influence of sensitization, which means you're going to have really sticky, intrusive thoughts, which means you're going to have thoughts that you can't fix, which means you're going to have a ton of anxiety, and you just have to accept these mental and physical symptoms, and you just have to say to yourself, I am under the influence, and that's all there is to it. If I was drunk, I wouldn't tell myself to stop being drunk, because that doesn't work. If I was high, I wouldn't tell myself, please just stop being high, because that wouldn't work. If I'm sensitized, I'm not going to tell myself to just stop being sensitized, because that doesn't work either. You just have to accept it, because it's your only option that you got left that makes any rational or logical sense. Right? Whew, that was a mouthful. Under the influence, man. Under the influence. I'm going to wrap this stream up by saying, just pointing out what to expect. If you are under the influence of sensitization, you are going to experience sticky, intrusive thoughts that you can't fix. These thoughts are going to cause you extreme amounts of anxiety. If you are under the influence of sensitization, you are going to feel physical and mental symptoms. If you are under the influence of sensitization, you are not going to feel like yourself, and you are going to experience these things, right? But guess what? You are under the influence, and we can't just tell a drunk person to stop being drunk. You just have to accept the fact that you are. Right? So this stream was brought to you by Terry. The moment you decide that you're going to just accept the fact that you're under the influence and this is not the real you, and just let it happen, and that's using the accepting inner voice. So if you sit there and you move on with your life and you live your life, and the whole time you're living your life, you just tell yourself about these physical and mental symptoms, you know what, it's not the real me, man, but there's nothing I can do about it. So I'm not going to worry about it, because I know it's not the real me. As soon as I sober up, I'll be good. I'll be good. So fuck it. I'm not going to try to do anything about it. The moment you make that decision to start doing that from this day forward is the moment you start to heal. All right, you guys. Again, this stream was brought to you by my boy, Terry. Thank you, Terry, for the tip goal. Under the influence. Great stream. I really appreciate the idea, Terry, and I really appreciate you sponsoring this one. Can we give him a big round of applause in the chat? Because if it wasn't for Terry, this stream wouldn't have happened. So big shout out to Terry in the chat. Like I said, this might be a bit of a short one today, guys, but I'm happy with that one. I feel like we nailed the point there. But we are going to do a bit of a post stream, right? I'm not going to leave you completely hanging. So let me get some music going. We'll just jump right back into our post stream. Into our post stream. But yeah, there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed Under the Influence, right? My anxiety today is again at 0. Hey, just accept it. And if it comes back, just remind yourself that's not the real you. You're under the influence, and get on with it, right? Try to stick with the theme here. We got Mike in chat. Dude, where have you been, Mike? What's up, Stuart? I hope you're doing good. One of one. What is up? How are you doing? There's no magic button. You got it. Well, it's ironic because there is no magic button, but the magic button is just to accept that there is no magic button and that this is not the real you, and get on with things, right? I make it sound so easy. It is a practice. I understand it's a practice. But that is the gist of it. That really is the gist of it. Hope you're doing good, gamer. What's up, Jennifer? What's up, L? How you doing, L? EL. How you doing? It is like you were trying to sober up and being mad at yourself when you can't instead of realizing it's a drug. Exactly, and it is. It is. It's not just a good analogy. This stream is not just a good analogy. When you are under the influence of sensitization, you have all sorts of chemicals going around, right? Going around in your body, right? So understand that. It's the same concept. Do you want to do podcast, Wonder Bro? I'd love to have you on a podcast, Terry. I need to do Sky. Sky is top of my list. He even bought a microphone, man. He's ready for it. So I need to knock out Sky. And then we can absolutely do a podcast, Terry. I'm sure everybody in the chat would love to see that. So I'll DM you and we'll work out some details, man. I want to make that happen. I really do. How you doing today, Kristen? Hope you're doing fantastic. I hope I said your name correctly. It's funny, too, because the more you sit with the thoughts and don't get involved trying to solve them, the less intense they seem, and you get these realizations that it's all garbage. That is you sobering up, right? So it might be different in some ways. It's not the perfect analogy. You know, this sensitization tends to come and go, and you have ups and you have downs, and you're not perfect, right? So it's not like the perfect analogy because it does come and go. But every time it rolls around, you need to remind yourself, I'm under the influence, right? Right? And again, you guys give props to Terry because he come up with this little stream idea. So huge shout out to Terry. Then you feel like you believe them again, but you sit with it and don't get involved, and eventually it fades again. Yeah, you're going to have those. It's going to be like this. It's going to be like this, all right? And there's not much you can do about that besides accept the fact that you're under the influence, and it's not the real you, right? It is not the real you. Thank you again so much, Terry, for sponsoring today's stream, dude. I really appreciate it. Thank you. But I would absolutely love to see a Terry podcast. How many people in chat would love to see a Terry podcast? I'd like to pick a day where we can do just the podcast and focus on it instead of trying to squeeze it in these, like, I got to bail in like 15 minutes here, so I don't want to try to squeeze it in. I'm just impressed about this Let It Down after effect, a bunch of his existential thoughts and very low energy, but everything disappears. I'm realizing that since 3 weeks ago. Yeah, so you're experiencing anxiety fatigue, which happens, right, when you start accepting, and your body's going to make a lot of changes. It's going to make a lot of physical changes chemically, and that's going to cause you to feel a bit fatigued. That's actually a good feeling, and you just need to enjoy your rest, right? There's so many ways that you can choose to look at things, and that's how you need to choose to look at your fatigue. Do not start to put labels on yourself, such as, oh, I'm feeling very low and depressed or whatever. Don't do that, right? Overshadowed by the false alarm. Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. Thank you again for the stream idea. I'd be down for, I'm assuming you meant Terry podcast? Yeah, dude. It would be awesome to have a Terry podcast. I need to knock Sky out, because that's going to be a good one too. Sky is a really good dude, and he's been waiting for a podcast for a long, long time. So I need to knock him out, and then we'll try to get that Terry podcast going. Let's see. Good stream today, direct and to the point. I'm doing well, and I like to come on from time to time to give others hope. There was a time that I didn't think I'd ever get better. I love it. Thank you so much for the positivity. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, Wonder Bro, did you have problems with your heart? So things such as skipped beats, as some people call it, or palpitations. Right? That's how you say that fancy word. I always get caught up on that word. I can never say that word. Yeah, I experienced it from time to time. It was never a huge thing for me. I was too busy worried about other symptoms. The symptoms that you worried about are the ones that ironically are going to cause you the most grief. So, but I basically experienced everything in the book. I'll just be honest with you. I went through multiple bouts of sensitization, so there's probably not an anxiety symptom that I didn't at least experience once, right? I mean, maybe there is, but I doubt it. I doubt it. Maybe there is, but I doubt it. It's just because you've been on a high alert for so long. Yeah, you've been under the influence, and you're not accepting that you're under the influence. So it's the same. What you're essentially doing is you want to stop being drunk, but you keep drinking. Every time you fight with the thoughts and feelings, you are taking another drink, and you get drunker and drunker, right? And you get drunker and drunker, and then you want to be sober, but you keep drinking, and that's essentially what's happening here. How bad was your panic? Pretty bad. I was pissing in bottles at one point. Not my proudest moments, but you have to say my name, Chris. Yes, I remember. Okay, give me a second. Viola. Viola, I got it, right? Viola. I dealt with more sensitization than I did panic, but I always had a feeling of inner panic when I was severely sensitized, if that makes sense. And that's usually how it goes for most people in the sensitized boat. Not saying you can't experience panic. You can, absolutely. But I mostly had a feeling of always just constant inner panic when I was severely sensitized and wasn't doing the work, because I kept myself like that. Did you have problems when it was hot outside? That was never a big trigger for me. I'll be honest. That was never a huge trigger for me, but I can understand if you have breath-related anxieties and you're freaked out by that sort of thing. I can see how that would be a problem. Viola, yes, good job. Thank you so much. Were you panicking a lot, just laying in bed like full-blown attacks? They would come. They would definitely come. That feeling of inner panic was certainly one of the more constant things. But the attacks themselves would come. It's different than sensitization, but it's all treated the same, right? Does that make sense? So yeah, you're not really describing anything that makes you a special case. A lot of people do believe they are a special case, and it just turns out that nobody is. Did you ever go through a phase where you forgot you had anxiety and bang, it hit you hard? Yes. So I've actually done streams on this topic. When I started to feel better from actually dedicating to the work, I would get frustrated if it came out of nowhere. I would start to feel pretty good, and then I'd have a rough day. And that's why we talk about ups and downs so much here on the channel, because they're very common. They're very common. You just need to shift gears, Stuart, and get right back into acceptance, right? So they will kind of hit you. They'll kind of come out of nowhere, and you'll start doing better. That's part of healing, and then maybe it'll come back for a little bit. You just need to shift gears and get right back into that accepting mindset. Remind yourself, hey, here it is. This is not the real me. I'm under the influence. Just accept what comes with being under the influence, right? Hey, one last time, man. I don't want to run it into the ground, but huge shout out to Terry for today's sponsor. I appreciate it, Terry. Terry is one of my, he's one of my top supporters, dude. He's easily one of my top supporters, if not my top supporter. I think he is my top supporter. I don't know. I don't know the logistics, but anyway, Terry's up there, dude. He's a good guy, man. He's always been a good guy. He's very helpful and a big part of this community. Terry is a big part of this community, especially if you're over on the Discord. So, speaking of the Discord, let's go ahead and drop the link to that, shall we? If anybody wants to join us over there, you can feel free to do so. Let me see. I'll copy that. Thanks for the great job. You help many souls out here. Bless. Thank you, Moses. Appreciate you, dude. Is that your real name? Is Moses your real name? Because if so, that's badass. That is badass. I like it. All right, I'm going to drop the Discord link, guys. In 3, 2, 1, Discord. Go join it. Go join us on Discord. We'd love to have you. We'd love to see you. Any advice on tight throat sensation? So you don't want to look at the individual symptoms and try to figure out how you're going to overcome each individual one. Understand that the advice will apply to all anxiety symptoms, and the reason I warn you of that is because it's easy to make the mistake of, what do I do about this symptom? Or what do I do about that symptom? What do I do about this symptom, right? You don't want to do that. That's just obsession. They're all going to be treated the same, right? Which is to accept that this is anxiety talking and to do your best to not engage and fight with that in a negative way, right? You're going to feel it, man. It's going to burn, but you got to let it burn. This is not about feeling good. That happens in time. But while you're going through acceptance, it's going to burn. You got to accept the burn and just accept that you're under the influence. And that's the end of the story. Yes, Wonder Bros, same as you, constant feeling, near panic, can go anywhere and do anything, but it's right. And you probably do a lot of engaging with that mentally and fighting with your thoughts, and we want you to just come to a neutral place of, hey, I'm just under the influence, and it just is what it is, and try to let that mental obsession go, right? That's really what this is at the end of the day, and continue living your life. That is the two main keys. Stop fighting with your thoughts and feelings and live your life. That is the two keys. All right, guys, I keep checking the time because I do have some sessions that I need to knock out here in about 20 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping this stream up. If you are interested in coaching, man, get up with me. Follow me on my other social medias, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. We've been growing like crazy on TikTok. Check me out on TikTok, Vacay Fear. But yeah, I do coaching. I offer reoccurring, man. We'll talk every week. We'll talk once every 2 weeks, right? Just get up with me. We'll set it up. One last time, thank you, Terry, so much for sponsoring today's stream. I know it's a short one, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I think that was an awesome topic. So huge shout out to my boy, Terry. And with that being said, guys, thank you so much for everything. I will see you soon. And until next time, as always. Hey, do it with me. Actually do it with me. On 3. Right? On 3. 1, 2, 3. Stay awesome, beautiful people. Bye.
Liftoff of mission 41D, the first flight of the orbital Discovery, and the shuttle has cleared the tower. Discovery's core computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.